Everybody knows that art has become a major element of today's society. With the many different forms of art that have been developed throughout the years, one can find art anywhere. But one thing that most people don't know is that there is a large discrepancy in the art world between women and artists of color versus men. Since the 1980s, a group of activists named the Guerrilla Girls have been working tirelessly to change this discrepancy. Calling out museums and galleries, this group has changed the way that we see art today. They have also changed the way that women artists have been seen throughout history through their aggressive tactics and tireless work to make people aware of the inequality that has surfaced over the years. Our very own news correspondent, Christina Udis, had a chance to catch up with one of the members of this prestigious group. Let's take a look at what she had to say.
Thank you, Julie. Here I am with a Guerrilla Girl who's here to talk about her group and their goals. So, who exactly are the Guerrilla Girls?
We're a group of feminist artists and activists who speak out about sexism and racism specifically in regards to art. We're completely anonymous and have been ever since our creation in 1985 in New York City. We're most well known for our gorilla masks, which we use to mask our identities when we hold protests and other public events. We hold protests and display art that is bold and radical in order to get our message across.
And what exactly are your objectives?
Our main objective is to raise awareness to the inequalities surrounding men and women in the art industry, as well as discrimination against African American artists. We hope to persuade artists, museum curators, and everyone else involved in the art industry to enact change. There are many female artists out there, but it's much more difficult for them to be considered great artists. The standards for women artists, even in today's world, are not equal to those for men, and we believe that something needs to be done about that.
So, what tactics do you use? How do you achieve these goals?
We've done several things in the past to raise awareness and advocate for a change, and we're still doing these things today. For example, we hold protests outside of art galleries and museums. Our most famous protests were at the Museum of Modern Art in New York City, and they're actually how we got our start way back in 1985. We protested one of the museum's exhibitions because it featured 169 artists, and only 13 of those featured were women. We also use protest art to gain people's attention. Our art is unique because it is usually provocative, but at the same time it is very humorous. One of our most famous posters is a list of the advantages of being a woman artist, which consists of a series of ironic remarks such as knowing your career might pick up after you're 80, or not having to undergo the embarrassment of being called a genius. On top of all this, we have also published several books, one of them being the Guerrilla Girls' Bedside Companion to the History of Western Art. In it, we talk about the issue of racism and sexism in the art world in great depth by providing specific examples of artists throughout history.
Wow, it's obvious you guys have been doing a lot of work. Has any progress been made?
We've definitely gained more followers and have become more well known in the past few years. And there's proof that discrimination in the art world is becoming less and less of a problem as time goes on. With that being said, this is still a relevant issue, and we're not completely satisfied. We're going to continue what we're doing for a very long time until women, African Americans, and other minority artists receive just treatment.
Wow. Thank you so much. As you can see, there's been a lot of discrepancy, as you've said, in this art world, and these Guerrilla Girls are going to continue their work until equality has been reached. Back to you, Julie.
Thanks, Christina. As you can see, Guerrilla Girls are very passionate about their work and have dedicated themselves to making the rest of the world aware of the change that needs to be made in the art world. On the other end of the spectrum are museum curators and gallery owners who have not been as accepting of the message the Guerrilla Girls are trying to deliver. Christina traveled to the ICA, where she met with one of the museum curators, Shannon Horowitz.
Here I am at the ICA with Shannon Horowitz, a museum curator. He's here to talk about the Guerrilla Girls, what they've done for the art community, and what she thinks of their tactics. So how are you today?
I'm good.
Good. So, what do you know of this activist group known as the Guerrilla Girls?
Ah, the Guerrilla Girls. Ha. Ha. Well, they started, protesting in the early 80s, around 1985, and posters in New York just started appearing out of nowhere, They've been using art as a way to get their message across that, there aren't many women artists that are featured in museums today.
And so, what do you think of their tactics and their objectives? Do you agree with them? Do you disagree with them? How do you feel?
Well, their tactics, the Guerrilla Girls try to characterize themselves as, the conscience of the art world. And it's very strictly anonymous. And they use surprise tactics, and I think that their tactics, as a woman, I think that their tactics are very
Some would say aggressive.
aggressive, yeah. But I think that they get their point across, you know.
Right.
I think that, you know, it's time for women to stand up against the man, literally and figuratively. So,
Right.
yeah.
Do you think women are represented well in art today, as opposed to maybe years prior, or just in general?
I think there's been a slight change. There's definitely been more women artists featured in museums and stuff. It's definitely not to the point that the Guerrilla Girls want it yet.
Right. All right. So another one of their objectives is the representation of African Americans in the art world. Do you think that they are represented like women? Do you think that they're represented more or less? I mean, compared to just white men, how do you think that they're represented?
Well, blacks are definitely represented less in museums and artwork, and black artists are also, I feel, they are also represented a lot less. So, like, not only artists that are black, but also in artwork.
Right. And do you think there's hope for change? Do you think there will be change in the future? A more equal playing field for both men, women, and African Americans?
I definitely hope that there will be change, you know. So far there's been only a little bit of change,
Right.
like what the Guerrilla Girls have wanted, but you know, they've been staying strong. You know, their group has been still, you know, working. They've been talking at different museums. They've been getting a lot of, you know, they've been getting popular, and that's good. So hopefully, though, I do have hope for them in the future.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you, and I do too. There's a lot of hope and a lot of room for growth. So it's good to see the other side, and we'll just hope for the best, I guess. Back to you, Julie.
There you have it. Slowly but surely, the Guerrilla Girls have made their mark and have been given more artistic freedoms. Complete equality has yet to be reached, and there is still much work to do in museums and art galleries around the world. Even though resistance in the art world continues, there is still much hope for this group and their movement. They will continue their fight until true equality for both women and African American artists is reached. Thank you and good night.